People, what's happening? I'm Tommy. You are on the lifeboat. Let's see what we got here, shall we? I did see some. I saw some excellent references to the Princess Bride. Great film. Good references. I like it. I like it. Well done. Let's see here. Boy, my computer's all over the place. Shannon, good to see you. Blessed to crochet. Mary, I'm glad you're here. Rolling Stone, Shannon Smith, Bacon Bits, Ben Turner. Glad you're here. Let's see. Jeremy Shelton. The best remedy for a panic attack is a nice mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich where the mutton is sliced really thin and the tomato is fresh. If you don't know that reference, shame on you. No, I'm kidding. But it is a great movie. It was one from my youth that I really enjoyed the hell out of. That was just a very entertaining film, don't you think? I loved the Princess Bride. Meredith Lynn, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. Hello, Tara. I think Tara was first here today, if I'm not mistaken. Brianna Miller, morning. Hey, Miradira, glad you're here. Cooler by the Lake, North Carolina. I confuse the Carolinas constantly. My brother lived in one. To this day, I couldn't tell you which one he lived in. And I bet he lived there for a decade. I don't know what it is about that, but I got a block. But so let's have a little fun today, shall we? Yesterday, I did a show, and I called it Rumors. Roberta, 3 days in a row. I love it. Hill hath no furry, and that is a fact. So I did a show yesterday, called it Rumors. Kind of a tip of the hat to Fleetwood Mac. Pretty big fan of that band, and that's probably the best effort they ever made. Was in my opinion, Rumors was their definitely their seminal work. But it was kind of funny because I do a show talking about rumors, and before I did, my partner from my other channel did a show on her channel. Now, the last time I had spoken to her, she was not planning on going live because of the throat and all of that stuff. So I had no idea that she went live yesterday until I'm here talking about rumors, and I see in the comment section, Reese is getting divorced, and I was like, well, that's a rumor, isn't it? Apparently, it was a rumor started by Reese. So that cat's out of the bag. If it seemed odd yesterday, it's because I was not aware of the fact that she shared that with the world. Again, I didn't think she was live yesterday, so it just was. It was one of those non sequitur moments. But I'll get some hate mail. For the record, this was something that didn't have anything to do with me. You may not believe that. I think the vast majority of you have a lot more fun thinking that I went in there and broke up a marriage, because it just sounds a whole lot better, doesn't it? It's one of those things that's fun to talk about. Rumors changed my life musically when it came out. Carol, I love that. I remember certain albums that literally changed your life. Like the first time you got it and you put it on and you played it, you were just like, you've got to be kidding. I remember a lot of stuff like that. Things that I remember the first time I heard the song Ripple. It's a Grateful Dead song, but the first time I heard the song Ripple, when I was growing up, I grew up in a place where the Grateful Dead was really popular, right? So I saw tons of bumper stickers, I saw tons of T-shirts, and all of them were fairly frightening to a 4, 5, and 6-year-old, right? A lot of skulls, a lot of stuff that just, it wasn't, the imagery doesn't match the band. Later on in life, the number of people who said to me, like when I moved to Texas, I hate the Grateful Dead. I go, you do? Yeah, I hate all heavy metal. And I would go, they don't play heavy metal, right? Like, what the hell are you talking about? But the other day I saw a Deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. A voice inside your head said, don't look back. Dreams is a great jam, but I never heard the music. So there was a big disconnect between what I thought the band was and what the band actually played. And the first time I heard Ripple, it's just a very, very slow song. Beautiful tune. One of the ones they played at Jerry's funeral. Heavy song. But the first time I heard it played, I was like, holy crap, this is from who? Like, who made this? And it was just a few years later that I went and caught the first show. Maybe 5 years later, something like that, I caught the first show. It was The Wall changed my life. Boy, you could almost, because of the crowd that we have here, you could almost say, hello, Robin Miners. You could almost say, put your hands up if the wall changed your life, because the number of people who used that in coordination with heavy drugs, it is one of the most, no, it's the most popular piece of music probably out there on the planet that people specifically do drugs to experience, right? And there's a bunch of different ways people do that. People do LSD and put on the wall and watch it, or they put on LSD and they cue it up at the exact same time as the Wizard of Oz. And you turn the volume down on the Wizard of Oz and you crank up the wall and you watch. I mean, you cue it up right. It's absolutely epic. It really is. But there's a bunch of different things that people do to experience the wall. So I'm not at all surprised to hear that the wall changed your life. I think there are a lot of people who probably agree with you on that. That was really one of those. That was one of those works that it's not an album, is it? I mean, it's something far bigger than that. Even if you're not a fan of Pink Floyd, and I don't much care if you are or not, but if you're not a fan of Pink Floyd, Dark Side of Oz, it works. Done it. I'm sorry, it's not. Did I say the wall? It's Dark Side of the Moon, right? Could you fix me on that if I'm incorrect, Shauna B? Is it, do you put on Dark Side or do you put on the wall? Lumen, good to see you. Present? Accounted for. I'm glad that you are here. Jennifer Folsom, good to see you. Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. Oh my Lord. Jennifer Folsom, people, you've got to be able to say it's Dark Side. Thank you very much, Shauna B. Appreciate you. Jennifer Folsom says, Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. Rise Up This Morning. Beautiful song. It's, I mean, just happy. Smile at the rising sun. Three Little Birds on my doorstep. It is one of the happiest tunes. And no lie, I remember putting on the headphones and jamming out to Bob Marley on 3 or 4 different islands in my life, just sitting there with the headphones in, grooving. Sadly, I was probably doing something illegal in every single one of those island trips. If I wasn't, I was doing something hellaciously unethical. No, I take that back. We took some family vacations to islands, and although Johnny and I would bring weed, or bring sometimes 2 or 3 different drugs that we would bring, but we would bring enough for the vacation. But we weren't really we weren't doing anything else stupid at that time. Pink Floyd is the best concert I ever saw, and I saw a lot, says Jennifer Folsom. There aren't too many of the bands that I wanted to see that I didn't. There are a couple I missed. Some because it was before my time. Like I didn't see Queen. It's a bummer. But Pink Floyd, I've probably seen a dozen times, maybe more than that. And Pink Floyd puts on a show that you just would not believe. I mean, they really, really put on a show. It's an experience more than it's a concert. Cooking with Grandma says, good afternoon, Tommy and Lifeboat family. Hoping all is well with you all. Well, it's good to see you. I'm glad that you are here. Avina Sativa. I think the music that changed my life is Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. I did a lot of acid to that album. You know what? That's. I wish I could say that sentence. I really do. I get that part of my life is over, but I really think that listening to Miles Davis on acid would have been fun. You know what? It's funny that we're doing this right now because currently, hi Amber. Currently, I've actually been, we're in the process of my brother is in the process of writing a book, but he will call me because he needs to ask about things from our past. And we kind of work with each other, and then he goes back and he writes. During some time periods, my memory is a little sharper than his. So we were actually talking about acid trips all morning. We were back and forth, not reminiscing and giggling, but trying to pull out certain things. Lumen says, I need to watch that Bob Marley documentary. It's supposed to be fantastic. You know what? I'm looking forward to hearing what people say about that documentary. And by that, I mean, I want to know if it's going to be edited in such a way that I can watch, because sometimes that people want to look like they have high production value, and high production value these days means very short snippets of I would say film, but nobody films. But you know what I mean? It's short snippets of film edited together really quick, and that's toast for me. It's no good. So yesterday, so let's talk about the quibble thing real quick. I would imagine that when she is done with all of this, that she'll tell all of you all the details that are fit to tell. It's certainly her story to tell, not anyone else's. And but I would hold out judgment until you know all of it. And some people do. A lot of you already do. But she's going to most assuredly be talking to people when the time is right. But everybody seems to be it's very amicable split divorce. They seem to be getting along very kindly, and all parties seem to be on the same page, and that's a beautiful thing. Wait a second, Jennifer Folsom, where are you? Are you saying G.E. Smith? Because I can't find Jennifer Folsom, but I see somebody who wrote the lead for the Saturday Night Live band. Maybe it's at a different time period, but when, like in the 80s, it was G.E. Smith and the world's most dangerous band. Right? That was the Saturday Night Live crew. He had a big blonde mop, hell of a guitarist. Debbie P. saw Brian May twice and met him in '93 after a solo show he did at the Vic Theater in Chicago. He was very nice and very tall. I'll be darned. I'm a huge fan of Sir Brian May. They knighted him. How cool is that? Huh? Man, if you're a rock star and you get knighted, you know what? Keep your Grammy, right? Keep your MTV Music Award. Tap my shoulder with that friggin' sword. That's what I'm talking about. Kristen Melinda, I hope you have a good doctor's appointment. Lumen says, love G.E. Smith. Yep, he was on Saturday Night Live and briefly married to Gilda Radner. No way. I did not know that. Hello, Kathy Ann. Good to see you. Always a honor. Well, it's good. I would imagine that you're tired. You work harder than you should. Honestly, you do. And we appreciate you, but you do work harder than you should. You know what, Miradira? I do. And you know something? I would have the back of any of my friends in the same situation, right? Tara Smiling. Women can be. They're not named sir. They're named dame, I believe, right? Isn't that the equivalent? I could be wrong, but I believe that the equivalent is dame, but I could be wrong. Women can be knighted in the UK royal honors system, and the title of dame is considered to be of equal value to the title sir. Yeah, well, I've always thought it sounded way cooler. Honestly, I think I would much rather. I like the name dame a whole lot better than sir. Something about what's the actress's name? Absolutely gorgeous, older woman. She's not young, but I cannot think of her name right now. There you go, Judi Dench. Thank you. I just enjoy saying the name Judi Dench. You know what's really funny? I was watching Steve Martin during one of the award ceremonies back in the day, and he gets up and he goes, "So after us, the people getting up to do the next award is going to be that damn Judi Dench." And then he goes, "Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry, I read that wrong." Thought that one just it slayed me. I don't know if anyone else found it funny, but it really knocked me down. We had a lot of tornadoes last night. Thankfully, we are okay aside from flooding and tree damage. Oh no! So resting while the baby naps. But I had to listen while I do. At the end, I'm glad that you're okay. Man, we've had some really rugged weather. There's been parts of the country that's just getting pounded, right? Tornado after tornado. It's been kind of scary, isn't it? People just don't get your and Reese's parody act. They take everything too seriously. Jennifer Folsom, wow. Jennifer gets it. Amber says, comment, I read Gene Wilder's biography and he talks about Gilda in his book. Such a great book. It's called Kiss Me Like a Stranger. Do you know something? I ordered that book whilst incarcerated, and I ordered it twice from that yellow, I don't know, can't remember the name of it, but it's the yellow one that they mail in and it's got all the books in it. And prisoners probably keep that place alive for real, because I don't know how many people are ordering from, from an actual flyer anymore, but in prison, it's all you do. And that damn book was sold out so many times. I love Gene Wilder. But now that you reminded me, I'm going to have to go out and get that book because I have no excuse now, and I want to read that. I love the both of them. I know a little of her story, and it's tough, but the love that they had seemed. I mean, they were best friends. They really were. It was such a cool. They just had a really cool relationship, man. It was fun to watch, Tara Smiling says, "Yay! I love learning new fun facts. Thanks, everyone. I'm a fan of that too." You're watching on the TV while having a kale salad for lunch. I like it. I figure I'll throw that up there just in case you've never seen your name up on a TV screen. There you go. Check that out. Huh? Just looking at Steve Martin makes me laugh. Lumen says, I love Steve Martin. Miss Dragon is a mod here. One of the coolest people ever too. But she mailed me his book, Cruel Shoes. And it was so funny how fast everything came back. Like I turned the first page and it was like I remembered every single word that I read and I still laughed. I probably laughed harder reading it now as an adult than I did as a kid. But just realizing that honestly, it's probably about 30 some odd years ago when the first time I read that book. And yeah, it was a very cool gift. I read it a lot, actually. It's one I keep in my rotation. If I read, sometimes I can get burned out reading a book. And so what I learned to do while I was incarcerated was I would rotate. I'd have 3 different books. So if I started to feel burned out or if a book wasn't doing it for me, I would just switch off and hit another book for a little while. But I've now got Cruel Shoes in the rotation because it's just so damn funny. Jennifer Folsom, like the Three Amigos. I thought the Three Amigos was pretty fantastic too. And I'm a huge Chevy Chase fan. He was very kind to me when I met him. Jeremy Shelton says, as the old beautiful romances, Wilder and Radnor, McQueen and McGraw, Sid and Nancy, I'll tell you what, all of those pretty solid, right? All of those pretty solid. Now, Sid and Nancy didn't have a particularly happy ending, but they certainly were in love. That would be Nancy Spungen and Sid Vicious. Sid from the band The Sex Pistols. He was in New York, and he had ended up in Rikers Island for some reason. He got locked up, and his mom bailed him out and provided some money or some dope. Like the story goes 2 different ways, but mom made it possible for Sid to go get some dope. And first, he was doing some speed, and he got pretty spun out, and he killed his girlfriend. And got locked up, got out again, shot up, overdosed, and died. I guess I will have to watch that movie today for yits and giggles. Not a bad idea. You know what? There aren't enough giggles going on in the world. I mean that. Have you ever noticed, and maybe this is something that happens with time. Maybe this is something that's an affectation of old age, right? But have you ever noticed that sometimes there is something so calm and comforting about watching a movie you've already seen 25 times, right? Or seen 35 times or whatever? I think I didn't see this as much when I was younger, but most of the people I know my age love to put on films. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we know every single word, right? But we'll watch them again and again and again. There's just something really. Sid didn't kill her. Uh-oh. He was way too messed up. Well, you know what, Debbie P? I would love for you to get famous proving that. Sid was definitely messed up. Comment, that was a very sad story about Sid and Nancy. It is. It was a horrifically sad story. And if you really want to see it done well, there is a movie called Sid and Nancy, and the Gary Oldman. How long ago this was, right? I saw this in high school. So Gary Oldman played Sid Vicious, and I really struggle to believe that he did not get strung out on dope for that role. If he is just acting, right? If he is just acting, it is without a shadow of a doubt the best job anyone has ever done showing heroin addiction, what it looks like. It was so real. It's disturbing. I can't, at this stage in my life, I couldn't watch it. It would literally drive me insane, but I've seen it a lot. Absolutely. When I love a film, I watch it many times. For instance, I only watched Sid and Nancy once, but I love Gary Oldman. I'm a Gary Oldman fan too, and I saw someone wrote "It's a Wonderful Life." I can watch "It's a Wonderful Life" in July. Cup of Coffee says, I have always been a rerun watcher. Nostalgia does something for me. Tammy agrees too. I love watching movies again because I always see something that I missed the first time I watched it. Yes. Lumen says, oh my God, Sid and Nancy, great movie. Gary Oldman nailed it. I'm telling you, he nailed it so much that the first time I saw it, I was not a heroin addict. I had never done that drug yet. And I saw it probably 2 more times when I had pre-heroin, right? When I saw it, 20 years later, after spending a good chunk of my life, doing opiates, it was really frightening to me how much he nailed it. It's not easy to play an addict. I mean, it's easy to play an addict for the world, but it's not easy to try to sell that to somebody that's done dope, right? Every time you watch a movie, you're always like, oh yeah, it's just not. He doesn't look like anybody I've ever seen, right? Gary Oldman looked like every junkie I've ever seen in my life when trying to kick or when going through withdrawal. He nailed it so perfectly, it was disturbing. Living in the gray area says, my parents got off heroin when I was 4 years old. So glad you're proud of your so glad you are proud of your work in this. You know what? Thank you so much. And hats off to your mom and dad. That's awesome. I mean, how cool is that? At 4, they were able to put that away. That's fantastic. That's breaking a cycle. It really is, because it's a difficult drug to get off. Right? It is people. It's a lot easier now, right, than it was, because we've got some way better technology. But I got to imagine that when they did it when you were 4, it was a slightly harder battle. But if you are struggling with opiates today, reach out to us. Send me an email, whatever there are. You do not have to get sick to get clean. Hear that? You do not have to get sick to get clean. As crazy as it sounds, people will stay in the game 25 years because they don't want to get sick. They don't want to get sick for a week, right? And not sleep well for a month. So they'll spend 30 years doing dope. It's terrifying, but it's true. Kestrel 42 says, I've probably memorized Hitchhikers, the books. So the 42? Okay. Well, it makes a lot more sense. You may have told me that before, and if you do, I apologize. I think they've researched this. And theory is, what's coming. It's a comfort, especially to those with anxiety or who feel a lack of control in their life. I do that as well, so could be. Well, Kathy Ann, thank you so much. I'll tell you something. I'm glad that you said that, because this is the purpose of today's show, right? This is an absolute fact. And everybody I've heard talk about it talks about it in a negative fashion. The studies that they do on it, everything, they tend to talk about this like it's a really bad thing. Now, I don't view it that way. There's a caveat to that. If you are someone who watches the exact same thing night after night after night. Do yourself a favor and a couple of nights a week, right? Um, when you a couple of nights a week, watch something else, something documentary, whatever, to keep the mind engaging and learning new stuff. But once that I learned of the study, and there's multiple studies, but once I learned about the studies that talk about this, uh, why would you not use it? Right? This works. This is something that is a self-soothing behavior. Like if you watch people who get into really frightening or terrifying situations, you watch people who rock back and forth, right? They grab their own arms, people rub, right? When you see somebody, when you're in a prison or you're watching someone who gets arrested, when you see somebody under stress, it's amazing what people do to self-soothe. If throwing on stripes does that for you, why wouldn't you? That to me seems like an excellent tool in the arsenal, right? If all you're dealing with is a sense of unease or whatever, put on something that you know is going to make you laugh and feel good. I do not see this as a problem. Amber says, when I got out of the Sea Org, I tried speed, ecstasy, pot, and I stayed away from acid. It scared me, all the mushrooms. Mushrooms also scared you? Yeah, trip drugs in general you're shoving all your chips in the middle of the table, right? That's not a drug that you if you've not experienced LSD or mushrooms, if you've never done one of the dissociative drugs, it's not like drinking or smoking pot where all of a sudden you're altered. It is strong enough where in theory you can kind of disassociate and not understand reality and fiction, so to speak. It becomes difficult to put them together. Anyway, when you said put stripes on, I thought you meant go to jail. That's funny as hell. Do you know I have actually been in jails that do the stripe thing, but it's usually only for like the lowest custody level. So the guys wearing stripes are usually in for misdemeanors, like they're doing 6 months in jail for public, intoxication, fifth time or whatever. Tammy says documentaries are my go-to. Documentaries are the only thing I can watch, right? It is the only thing I can watch, or things like it, because it's filmed from one camera. So I can watch people on YouTube doing what I do, I watch a lot of stuff like this, and I watch a lot of documentaries. That's it's the great thing about the internet is that we have all this at our disposal, right? I don't know what I would do without it. Crazy too, where Derek Chauvin got stabbed. That prison used to be a regular FCI. It used to have 1,300 people on it. Now it's got like 56 or something. But it used to be a normal yard. And in their library, they had 2,000 documentaries on DVD. 2,000. It was awesome. I could go down there, put on a pair of headphones in a locked room, right? Because you never put on headphones and you never cover your ears and listen to stuff in prison. Really bad things happen when people can sneak up behind you. Dennis from Boston says, Brianna, my son is 6 years sober. For 2 years, I went everywhere with him, and he is sober today, working, and just bought a car. I am so blessed. You know what? He's blessed, Dennis. He's blessed. That is absolutely awesome, right? The fact that you went everywhere with him for 2 years, that's tough love. That's tough love. I mean it. That is the coolest thing in the entire world. Rogue Hedgie says, the jail I worked in, all inmates and general population wore stripes. Damn. Females wore green, and people in the shoe or the people who went to the hole wear orange. Orange is pretty standardized for shoes across the world. I think orange is what you wear when you're in trouble. Orange jumpsuits usually. At least every place I've ever been, I don't know if I've ever been to a prison that I didn't go to the shoe. Nope, I never have. I never once rode an entire yard out without getting in trouble for something. Nope, I never have. That's crazy. Probably says a lot. Dawn Gloves, I will check that. Thank you. I have not seen that yet, but I will look at that. Awakened by the Looking Glass says, I'm a documentary gal too. I can't risk something bad happening in my sleep, Bradley. We'll leave murder shows on. Oh no. Oh no. I think that it is a little bit frightening that a lot of times we leave things on as background noise and we don't think about it. I promise you that's dangerous. I promise you that is dangerous. And there is a crap load of science to back this up. Whatever is going on in the background, it's not just noise. And I hate silence. So I have to have stuff on to make noise. I can't deal with silence. But I promise you, I'm not putting stuff on that's going to tickle the brain and make me work for it. It's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to put stuff on that is going to be mindless and numbing, like, the stuff you play at sleep time, brown noise, gray noise, blue noise, that kind of stuff. Venus Blue Jeans. Everybody see this? Can we high five our friend Venus Blue Jeans? Listen to this. Tommy, tomorrow is day 28 without a drink. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That is the coolest thing I've ever heard. You are almost at a month. Wow. 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 How cool is that? You know what, Tara? Tara has nailed this. People pay attention, because the absolute safest way to make sure you never end up in the hole is to avoid that whole pesky arrest process. If you can just maybe avoid getting arrested, you don't have to worry about going to the hole. You're pretty much guaranteed a much more laid back environment and way more freedom. See, I should have way more nightmares with the documentaries I fall asleep to. It took me 9 times to finish the Warren Jeffs documentaries because I fell asleep 15 minutes in. Slept well, too. This is one of the most frightening things in the world to me, because I remember that this was my mindset. I used to turn on a television. I used to put on whatever. And very often, sadly, I would put on news. That was what I would leave on around the clock, because at least the background noise was letting me know what was going on in the world. I never once thought to myself, I didn't sleep well last night because this has been going on in my head. I never thought there's some form of programming or whatever that was going on. I never felt anything. I didn't. But I want to tell you something. When I stopped, right? And when I was in prison, we had every television set has a box underneath it. And that box is to send the signal to a pair of headphones on a radio, right? You couldn't have 6 or 8 people listening to televisions at the same time. He would turn the volume up louder, then your volume would get louder, and pretty soon people would be stabbing each other. So every single one of those TVs, it'll say tune to 88, tune to 88.1, tune to 88.2, tune to 88.3. And they only have a range of about 50 feet, 60 feet. But within that unit, you get really excellent reception. We had one in a closet that just played around the clock news. And I had speakers in my cell, and I would leave the speakers on 24 hours a day. And when Q said to me, I can't believe that is what you do with your self. He's like, when you do positive affirmations and you stand and look at yourself in a mirror and feel like Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live, and you say, you know what, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Okay? That has an effect. What I was listening to is having an effect. And I said to him, yeah, you're an idiot. And I can't tell you how many times I said to Q, yo, you're an idiot, right? I never once didn't have to go back and go, you were right, right? I was wrong. When I stopped playing that trash, and you know what I went to instead? No joke. I went to gray noise. I found a channel that was static, and I played it at a low enough so that there was background noise. There wasn't silence, but yeah, it was. It worked. It worked, and I found myself becoming happier by the day. And the only change I made, literally, was getting that crap off. Because whether you realize it or not, whether you're feeling it or not, we are programming the part of our brain that you may not ever really speak to, right? When we go to bed at night, right, there's a second shift that comes in and punches in, right? And they go and start going through all of the stuff that we dealt with all day long. And I'd hate to think that there's, hundreds and hundreds of hours of trash listening to, who's going to court for this, or, who just did that. And it's not even news. If it was just news, it would be one thing, but it's not. Hold on one second. Well, that was the only prison, because Millie says colored noise for the win. For me too, my hearing is supersonic, so finding the right tone took a minute. It does. It absolutely, to find one that really makes you relax is not an easy thing to do, but you're going to be happy if you do it. Cooler by the Lake says, I'm very impacted by what I listened to prior to falling asleep. I've recently started listening to radio plays such as Agatha Christie, Sleep Like a Baby. So almost every prison I was at, I never had to worry about silence. There was always a very loud air conditioning unit. There was always, dudes making noise around the clock, really. It's not, on a GP, on a general population yard, after 9 o'clock, people get quiet, but there's always other noises, guards walking around. There's never really silence. But I was in one, a really old one that, yeah, if nobody was making noise, it was quiet as hell. It really was. But at that same yard, I could listen to, from midnight to 8 a.m., they played the kind of stuff my dad used to listen to when he was a kid, right? Literally, right? These were just radio shows from the 30s and 40s. And man, I can't tell you how much fun that was for me. And it was after they had said to me, you can't watch television anymore. So this was the coolest thing ever. I listen to all night positive affirmations every night. Tammy, I'm proud of you. I really am. Again, if words do not bum you out, if it's something that doesn't keep you awake, for me, my brain will latch onto words, and I struggle to then fall asleep. It's like my brain will not turn off. Sorry. Wow. Avena Sativa. Are you doing FOIA stuff, Avena Sativa? Are you doing FOIA, Freedom of Information Act stuff? Because it's actually a tremendous amount of fun. Something I did a lot of in prison. When you have a lot of time to kill, it kills a lot of time. If you ask the government to send you stuff, you through FOIA, you ask them to release documents to you, and they have to. And sometimes the amount of paper that they have to bring in, and they have to deliver it to you, right? This is freedom of speech stuff. But if you do something that they don't want you to easily see, like MK Ultra, right? Ask them to release all of the stuff to you about MK Ultra. A lot of it's going to be redacted anyway, but they're not just going to give you everything they got on that. They're going to throw in a couple of thousand pages of stuff from other investigations, stuff they had laying around the office. I'm not kidding. They take half of somebody else's FOIA and throw it in with yours, and it's like shuffling a deck of cards. They try to make it as difficult as possible to go through, but they do not count on the fact that the fellas got nothing but time on their hands. I mean, nothing but time on their hands. The reason you do this is because you got 10 years to kill, right? But you can find out a lot of very interesting things through FOIA. My kitty is snoring. That is very, very unusual. She normally does not do that. Now, I did not see the earlier comment. This is a fun one just to pivot off of, because a slip does not negate all the hard work that somebody has done. This is a tenant, right? This is a basic tenet of what I believe, right? You do not have to believe what I do, but this is absolutely a basic tenet of what I believe. And what I believe wholeheartedly is that if somebody says, I was sober for 5 years, right? And then I slipped, I smoked crack for 3 days, whatever, I relapsed, I blew all that time. So all of it's wasted, right? You learned a hell of a lot about being sober in 5 years. 3 days of smoking anything didn't wipe that chalkboard clear, I promise you. But that mindset keeps people going, F it, right? I would have to go as long as I just went to get back to ground zero. That's a stupid ass way to think, isn't it? But it is the addict way to think. It's an all or nothing. I just blew it all, man. There's no point in even trying. I would now have to put in thousands of days to get back to where I was before I started smoking. F it. I'm just going to keep smoking. And that's something that happens. It really is. Now, think of it this way. Dude goes 5 years without doing anything wrong. He has a relapse. He smokes, crack or meth or whatever, and shoots heroin, gets drunk. 3 days worth, a week's worth, 1 day worth, whatever. Then that person, instead of going down that other rabbit hole, has somebody sit down and say to him, hey, you made it 5 years. What the hell happened? Let's go back and look through the journal and find out where you relapsed, right? Because it could have happened a month ago. It could have happened 5 months ago. But let's figure out exactly why you relapsed. Because there is something in recovery, at least in the tenets of recovery that I believe in. There are things called great relapses. A great relapse is one that you learn exactly what caused it. That's a great relapse because you will not do it a second time, right? When you can actually figure out what it is I'm doing that's getting me off the rails, I'll stop doing it. Every addict will. It's why journaling is so important, right? It's why it's, again, a tenet. But if you go 5 years and then you do that 3 days, all of that time, all of that you learned is still there. You're still at 5 years, right? In the last 5 years and 3 days, right? Somebody can do the math and come up with what that is, but it's thousands of days, right? Out of those thousands of days, you used in 3 of them. I don't know. Let's just say that's a hiccup in the middle of this thing and get back on track. Because I don't think you start counting over again. I don't. I also don't think it does 2 really negative things. One, it negates all the good work that you did, right? And the other thing is there's this get out of jail free, slate cleaned. I can't tell you how many times someone will go, yeah, you know what? No, I screwed up horrible, but I'm on day 2, I'm clean now. Yeah, no. Let's get back and talk about what happened in the screw up. Way too often, it really is just, I'm not talking about that. Look, I screwed up. That's over, man. That's over. I don't want to talk about that. It's done. I'm 48 hours bullcrap, right? That 48 hours of sober isn't going to do you any good. Thank you very much. 1825. It's not going to do you any good, right? It's not. What's going to do you good is finding out why you relapsed. Don't do that start from scratch crap. You're not starting from scratch. You knew 5 years ago, you knew 1,825 days ago, right? That you needed to change your life. That's when the sobriety stuff started. That's when your sobriety started, right? The fact that you screwed up for 3 days does not mean that all of that goes to waste. It does not make any sense. Yeah, you know what, Goosebumps? There will be prompts. It was I'll make sure that those are there. Apologize that they're not. I thought that those were up there. I will make sure that is done. Thank you. So shoot, Body Illusion, throw that question up, and I'm going to wait until I see it. There's about a 30-second delay, right, between what I'm saying and what you're hearing. Sometimes it's a little less than that. Sometimes it's a little more than that, but it varies. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a little little tap dance because I would really like to. I would really like to know what she's talking about. Tara says, "How is his support system? Does he have one? I have built a solid one over the past few years. Friends, family, therapist, nurse practitioner, journaling, self care, etc. Makes a huge difference for me." Actually, it's the whole deal. I used to say the same kind of things. Boy, that really makes a difference. No, no, no. It's the whole deal. And that's the way you got to think about it because there is no other way to do it. I promise you there's not. They all fail. If you're not taking that holistic approach where you're writing down things that happen so you can see when you start to get off the rails, you will realize that when you've written the same thing 4 days in a row, you're obsessing. This is going to be something that jumps off the page at you when you continue to write about it. But you can think about it for 5 or 6 days and not even realize you're doing it. Honestly, it's easy to obsess. But when you engage the thinking part of your brain, which you need to do to write it down, it slaps you in the face and goes, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? It's so important. I cannot begin to tell you how important it is, right? Was Green Acres really the place to be? Well, half of them thought so. The other half, not so much. Not so much. And at that time, I think I probably would have gone with Park. It was a much safer time. That would have been a great time to be living in Manhattan. Good Lord, that would be great. It only takes a week to start a new habit, or so I'm told. The newest science is saying that it takes somewhere between 13 and 28 days. We did a show on this. That is the new science, between 13, depending on the person, and 28 days of doing the same thing day in, day out, and it will become habitual, right? Okay, I am still not seeing. Did I somehow miss this again? Is that possible? Could I have done that? No, here we go. My son, third rehab, 3 months in. He drank last night. Not today, though. Should he dust himself off and keep moving forward or start again with rehab? I'm out of words and ideas. Okay. The real kick to any of these is this. He's in his third rehab, right? So we'd be going back for number 4. The success rate at rehabs is 20%. The success rate in a rehab that is not inpatient. In other words, if he was just going and doing group meetings and doing 12-step programs and all of that, his odds of recovery are 20%. Right? That doesn't change. So you can get him back into a rehab facility. But what it sounds like is this isn't a dude that what we need to figure out and what he needs to be willing to talk about is what is it that is making him each time pick up that bottle? Because my fear, body illusion, and this happens all of the time, is that we want so much for our loved one to quit that we get them in there and they start that process and they're not addressing what causes them to need to drink. I did this for 3 decades. I never dealt with what happened to me that made me want to dull my emotions with drugs 24 hours a day, 30 years running. Right? Once I got to that part, I was able to make some pretty incredible strides. It's a live-in program. I don't know how many times I went into a live-in rehab facility. If you can get, I'd love to talk to your son, right? Because just all with the bullshit aside, I mean, honestly, if this were my relative, if this were my son, if I was talking to anybody else, I would sit down and say to them, 3 rehabs, and you drank last night. This is a disease, right? And it's got a hold of you. You understand the disease concept. He's heard all of these things. So that if you're not ready to do this, then you're not ready to do this. Are we wasting our time sending you back for a fourth? Right? Are you gonna take the steps necessary to remain sober? I wouldn't give up on them, right? By any stretch. I mean, if this were Spanx, I'd probably move in with him. Right? But there, even if you move in, right, there's only so much you can do, right? You can lead a horse to water. Right? And honest to God, there's never been a better example of you can lead a horse to water than sobriety. Because the horse knows it needs the water, right? The horse knows it's so thirsty, it's dying. And you lead it over there. As soon as you get, as soon as you start to do anything where your back is turned for a second, that horse is going to sprint back into the desert. It's a difficult thing for us to wrap our heads around, but it's the real deal. Start over or get kicked out of your house, you mean. That's, if his drug of choice were fentanyl, I would probably say, please don't do that. Right? I would say, please don't do that. But I think that's, the tough love like that, for alcohol, I'm a lot less, it has been his choice to go. Okay. You also have to know this. It does not matter how much we want our kids to get sober. What needs to happen is we need to somehow impart to our kids the desire to get sober. And I'm running the lifeboat. I'm a couple of years in. The boat's really starting to chug. At that point, I think we had gotten about 60 or 70 people on medical assisted treatment, right? So we've done a lot of that. I was flying high in life, but my kid was using. My son was using, and I knew it. Now, man, but I knew it. There was never a doubt at any point. And if I said to him, what are you on? He would tell me. Spanx doesn't lie to me. I'll be honest, I didn't want to know. But we had conversations where we talked about the fact that he was doing too much. We had a lot of those conversations, but there was nothing, we didn't talk about what drug was, but he called me really, really early in the morning. And he told me that, he was at the bottom. He was absolutely at the bottom. And I have never been so happy. And he said to me just recently, we were together, and he said, what was that day like? How bad did that hurt? I said, are you kidding? I had been hurting every day up to that point. The day when he called and said, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. I said, yes, right? Yes. And you're going to have some bad days going forward, but yes, because that is the start. Body Illusion says, Tommy, that was the question towards the rehab choices they're giving him. I will never give up on my boy. He's my baby. I respect that. I do. I respect that. I'm not anti-rehab. I really don't want to come off as anti-rehab, right? I'm not anti-rehab, but I want to make something perfectly clear. There are people on this planet who really make a ton of money because of individuals who are not successful in rehab. There are stories out there of people whose job it is to go find somebody like me who has a bad drug problem and good insurance, right? They're wranglers, and they're going to get that person into a process that might take 6 or 7 years before it's done. And it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars generated from that one person that wrangler delivers. And he gets a huge amount of money for bringing that person in. They're not trying to fix you on the first try. I'm sorry, they're not. And I know I sound like a jerk off and I'm anti, but it's like, is there more money in treating something or curing it? And a lot of times they get into this cycle where, okay, this one didn't work. We're going to send you to the next one. Shocker, right? there are huge companies that own a lot of these rehab centers, right? So very often they're just getting bounced from place to place where the same people are getting paid. It's not a good system. Why is rehab so expensive? Because they can get away with it. Because they can get away with it. The insurance companies pay it, right? It's you can charge what you want. That's really the way it is. We can cure you for 5 easy payments of $49.99. Rehab is so expensive because it's. Is there anything in your life more important? Honestly, if rehab is $1,000 a day, it would cost more than that to lease a Ferrari, right? Or to buy a Ferrari. 365 grand might get you a good one. Rehab is so expensive because they know that this is the most important thing in your life. They know that insurance companies are willing to pay this. And the reason is, in theory, because they save a bunch of money if they can get you clean. If you continue to use, the insurance company is going to be paying for so much crap because it wears down your body. Look at me. I've been sober for closer to a decade than not. The other side of it. I'm closing in on 9 years without heroin. But excuse me, my health is not in great shape. And it's because of all the stuff I did when I was younger. So rehabs can get away with it. Took me 4 rehabs to get that I could not ever drink alcohol again. My job was a huge factor why I drank. I begged to stay 45 days instead of 28. I got the 24-hour concept finally. I like it. And you know what? There's that light bulb moment. There's that rinse and repeat light bulb moment. Holy hell. I made it through 24 hours. And I made it through 24 hours. This happened, that happened, this happened. When Papa Scoville died, everybody that knew me, it was basically accepted that I was probably going to go off the rails in the first 2 days. Like everybody alive, that my phone did this number and it was, hey, all right? Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, can we FaceTime? I'm like, you just want to look at my pupils? I promise you, I'm not screwing up. But I got through that first day, and at the end of it, I mean, what's going to be worse? That was to me about as bad as anything that could happen in my life. On a scale of 1 to 10, that was a pretty solid 10, and I got through that one. So that's all I got to do is rinse and repeat. If something comes up that's crappy, I'm going to go to the same tools that I used to get through a death. I can get through anything with that, right? If I could get through that, I could get through anything, and that's kind of the mindset. Now, the takeaway, I'm not crapping on rehab facilities, but I question how good a rehab facility is if it takes you 3 days to get the you really can never drink again concept, right? Because their job, right, is to make it very, very clear. And it, unfortunately, they being the rehab community, follow a roadmap that every single one seems to follow. And I don't know. I don't think it's particularly effective. And if it's not, maybe you should friggin' change it because their success rate isn't great. In fact, their success rate blows. So they really kind of need to make some changes. And I don't think a lot of them are doing that, which is a shame. Kristen Melinda says, oh, cool. You're all still alive. Yes. And you have some perspective about this. We were just talking about why why rehab is so expensive. And I said, because that's the machine, right? That is the machine. This is big business, big business. Depending on who you believe, right? About half of us are addicted to something. That's in our country. About half of us are addicted to something. It's pretty heavy, isn't it? They waste a lot of time on shame and fear. That's no way to learn or recover. The first thing they need to do is make people understand the concept of a malfunctioning reward system. You're not a drug addict because you're a shit person, and you're not a drug addict because you're a bad person, or because you're weak, or because you're a drug addict because you have a disease, and that disease makes it so that the first time you did this drug, your brain through a series of chemicals mixed into a cocktail, told you that was the most important thing you had ever done in your life. Nothing you had ever done was as important as that shot or that hit or that smoke. That's literally what happened. The same way that Mother Nature keeps you from throwing out your child. It's crapping all over itself and screaming. The reason you don't throw it out is you get that unbelievable bond, right? Oh, I looked at my baby and the first time I saw Spanx, right? Whatever I could tell you right now, it was a mix of chemicals inside my head. All the cool things I could tell you, looking at his blue eyes, holding him there, thinking about what's going to happen, and he's like, it's all real, but it's just a bunch of chemicals mixing inside your head. It makes you bond to that child for the rest of your life. What if the same shit happened with cocaine? What if your brain mixes the same chemicals, right, that you would get when your child is delivered? What if that happens to you when you do a bump or when you do your first shot of heroin or whatever it is, right? And that is exactly what happens. And then your brain takes it to the next level, right? Now we start really getting into it. If you're an alcoholic, if you're somebody who has alcohol abuse disorder or whatever we're calling it these days, if you're an alcoholic, that's your drug of choice. How many times did you've gone too long without a drink and you're starting to feel this one, and that first sip hits your lips and instantly, right? All of a sudden you can relax, you feel calm. Well, it didn't do anything for you, right? Alcohol takes about 20 minutes to start getting into your system and doing the things it's going to do. So how the hell do you start feeling better instantly? Well, the malfunctioning reward center of your brain continues to say, keep doing this, keep doing this, keep doing this. So when that alcohol hits your lips, it's not the alcohol you're feeling, right? It's dopamine. Your brain's going, oh, you did the right thing. Here, have some of that. And that is the difference between us and others. First time they had a beer, their brain didn't say, that's the most important thing you've ever done, that you need to keep doing that, right? If it did, they'd be a lot less judgy. Hey, Marion, good to see you. Hi, Tara's mom. Hope you're here. I know Tara just hung up. If you're listening, we love your daughter. Something can help you and be imperfect at the same time. Thank you for that. You know what? I love it. You're right. Something can help you and be imperfect at the same time, to be sure. In fact, I've never seen anything perfect yet, right? And I don't think we're going to see it down here. I really don't. Wow, that's what my first drink at a bar felt like. Of course it is. Of course it is. You want to hear something unique, Carol? I would get sick, violently sick, if I didn't have my drug of choice. And I've told the story many times. And it happened to me every day for decades. But Jack and I would be in a parking lot waiting for the delivery man to bring us dope. And we would have gotten up in the morning, stolen something or whatever I had to do to come up with enough money so that we could go buy, $1,400 or $1,500 worth of dope. But we would, while we're waiting for the guy to come, I'm so sick. We're looking at every car, looking for his. I'm throwing up. I'm having a bad time. The second that guy shows up and puts the bag in my hand, I have the dope in my hand, right? Instantly. I don't feel like I got a fix anymore. Like I get in the car and I show it to Jack, like, we've been waiting for an hour, right? Theoretically, we're going to do it right there. There's no reason to move, right? I'm sick. And he'd look at me and go, no, I'll just run back to the house to do this. Yeah, why not? It's only 10 minutes. Only 10 minutes. If you would talk to me 6 minutes earlier and said, you're going to have to go 10 more minutes, I would have punched you in the throat. I promise. So I like it. I did difficult day Monday. I knew if I went into the grocery store, I was going to come out and come home with a gallon of mint chocolate chip ice cream. I chose not to go into the store. I ran to Connection. You know what? Really funny how that starts to work, right? Really funny how that starts to work. And Goosebump nailed it. Says that is a major win. Guess what? Rinse and repeat. Right? Rinse and repeat until you learn 5 other really great tricks. Run the connection. Whatever form that took for you this time, do it again. Do it again, do it again, do it again, and I got a whole bag full of crap I could do to get me through those moments where I feel like I'm going to relapse. I got a bunch. And I don't care if I look stupid doing them. I don't care. I have dropped in the middle of a grocery store that had one line open, and there were 70 people in that one line, right? And I'm looking around like, how do you not open another? I'm literally getting ready to blow an O-ring. So I just dropped down and started doing push-ups, right? Cranking them out because I can't leave that store. I really need what I'm there for. So I'm just, bust out a quick 25, get up, dust my hands off. Figure, yeah, I'm looking like an idiot. I don't care, or I'm in a bad way. When I got down to do the second set, a guy 4 people back, black dude, started to get to do push-ups. I guess he figured, you know what? That guy looked calmer. Maybe I'll give that a try. But honestly, I don't care. I don't care if I look silly. I don't care what people say. Yeah, I don't care. Tell them rumors, right? Say what you want. I don't. Shannon Smith, it is funny. I promise you. I'll also do it with squats. See, Kristen does calf raises. I should take a picture of my calves because that's another one I do too, Kristen Melinda. My calves are ridiculous because I have used calf raises that way for a long time as well. If I really think people are going to look at me and I'm going to look stupid if I do something else, you can do calf raises without people looking at you. Greetings all. Many times we eat sugar seeking love. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. If what you're doing to feel better, right? It's not good. It's not good, right? You eat for sustenance. You eat because it tastes good. That's all right. But if you eat because you're unhappy, that's not good. It's not good, right? If what you're doing to try to take away, right, a negative emotional feeling, that's all bad. Right? I say I'm not anti-drug. I'm anti-addiction. If that's happening to you, that's a problem, right? I promise that doesn't happen to people who are not addicts. It's a fact. Mario says, Carol, needing a meeting. I miss you. I need to catch you live. Yep, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Those are fun. I really like how Carol does her show. Jeremy Sheldon says, I teach English to kids. It's my obligation to look stupid on a daily basis. I do appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Jeremy Shelton, I have a feeling your kids are incredibly lucky. Honest to God. I wish I had a teacher as cool as you at any point in my life. Brandon Calloway, I am glad you're here, my brother. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope still working out. See, Brandon knows what push-ups can do to change how you feel. I promise. I'm telling you, 7 weeks sober and 8 weeks working out. Dude, that was nice. It's amazing how when you go mind, body, spirit, mind, body, soul, mind, body, whatever you want to call it, but you absolutely need body. It's a part of what you do. It is. If I find that when I'm clicking on all 3 cylinders, right? When I'm engaging in all of those 3 aspects of my life, I'm dangerous. I really am. I'm a force to be reckoned with. I'm solid, but I promise you, it's like a table with 3 legs. Knock one of those 3 out and see what happens. Gregory Smith, it's an honor. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. I can't begin to tell you, right, how quickly you begin to topple over if one of those 3 gets yanked out from underneath you. You know what? Detours can be fun. I think I've done the detour thing my entire life, right? Wherever you are, wherever you get planted, right? You just got to bloom. I have definitely found myself in places where I went, how the hell did I end up here, right? And I don't just mean prison. I've been in a lot of places where I just thought, holy hell, right? From where I started to where I finished was just was somewhat incredible. And I think most addicts feel that way. My story is extreme, obviously. Most people do not end up robbing banks and going to federal prison or running guns or whatever. But a huge amount do. I'm getting ready to do push-ups myself. That a girl, Shannon Smith. I've been up since about 4. I started working out pretty early today. We all have a father who will take the detour to avoid road tolls. That is absolutely hysterical. It really is. That's absolutely hysterical. All right, people. That brings us to the top of the show. We've been here about an hour and 10 minutes. I have an announcement to make. This will be the last 9 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 in the morning show that I do. I'm going to continue to do a show a day throughout this month. However, we got a very, very positive response and feedback from people on the 7:30 show we did last night. A bunch of people said, man, that's when you really need to do it because it's far easier for us to get on at that time. So tonight, I'm going to do a 7:30 show tonight. I'm going to be there. Tomorrow, I'm going to do that again, but I'm not going to be here in the morning. I'm just going to do the 7:30 tomorrow night. But we are going to absolutely, I'm going to be there tonight to be sure. Yes, Don Gloves, there are more on the way, I promise. You know what happened? I had a tripod issue. That's what happened. So, but you are getting more yoga videos, I promise. All right, people, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. And as promised, you know what I got here? Look at that. Huh? How majestic is my kitty? That poor cat. If you knew how often I kiss her on the head, I know she hates it, but it's just one of those things you can't not do. She's gotten a lot better. She used to really like shoot me a look like, how dare you put your lips on my head? But awesome news. Looking forward to 8:30. Yeah. So tonight, 7:30 California time, 7:30 on the left coast. I will be live on the boat. And then tomorrow I will be back at 7:30 p.m. right here. But I won't be doing the early one. Okay. I am the Admiral, and I will see you on the next one. Have a great day, people. Bye-bye.